victims.
Violence in Chicago continues to be a problem, with just in the past week, 3 young people being shot outside 2 different schools in just a matter of days. And that's on top of the armed robberies you hear about regularly, and smash and grabs and crash and grabs and gang type of shootings. Obviously, Chicago is hurting from just the level of violence there's been. But how are officials getting a hold of it? Is maybe the governor going to send in the National Guard, has been speculated by even previous governors for years to deal with the Chicago violence. No, that doesn't seem to be the case. Instead, it looks like it's going to be funding community programs. We'll get to that here with some comments yesterday from leading Democrats up in Chicago. Welcome in, Bishop on Air. I'm Greg Bishop, broadcasting each and every weekday across the spectrum of the internet. You've, of course, got YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow along, hit that notification bell. Also on Rumble, on X, on Facebook, where we stream each and every weekday morning. But let's get into this, because yesterday, of course, we knew that the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson were going to be with others during an assembly to highlight anti-violence initiatives. You had a slew of speakers from Father Flager, who is an advocate for gun control. You had even the Chicago police superintendent there addressing things he says would help stem violence. But you had Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson there as well. And he talked about a plan that he initiated back in December that he gave an interesting name. Here's what the mayor had to say about his plan to address violence in Chicago.
I announced the People's Plan for Community Safety, my administration's commitment to a people, place-based approach to addressing the root causes of harm and violence. One of the 9 pillars in this plan is investing in and expanding CVI in coordination among sectors throughout the city of Chicago, because we know that government alone cannot make Chicago safer. The People's Plan, it seeks to unite the many groups who have been doing the work to reduce violence in our city, and all of those who call Chicago home, to produce a vibrant and a more thriving city. We can do that together. We are committed to working together with community members and community organizations and philanthropy and business and more to unite action to enact solutions. Our challenges with community violence didn't appear overnight, and they won't resolve overnight. But all of us have to dig deep and continue to make sure that every single child has an opportunity to grow up in a thriving neighborhood. Long-term investment, layered investments, we will make sure that communities are safe today and for generations to come. It is a matter of life and death. And to that end, I want to thank Metropolitan Peace Initiative, PSPC, the Civic Committee of the Commercial Club of Chicago, Chicago Cred, for their commitment and investments that will grow and scale up this promising field. We know that success comes from breaking down silos and taking a holistic approach to these very complex problems. But I look forward to working together, to see this room. I'll be very honest and be vulnerable with you. To be in this room, to see so many brothers in this room, so many black men in this room standing up for their community. I don't care what anybody says about Chicago. I know that black men love this city. And the same policies that have created and caused the type of devastation that we've experienced. We are pulling ourselves together to address the root causes of violence, and we're doing it together.
So again, the mayor addressing his people's plan to address violence, and didn't really mention much about cracking down on crime, as far as having the state's attorney's office, go after even low-level crimes. Listen, you have this police philosophy, the broken windows theory, right? Where if you even let broken windows slide, then you're going to have an increase in crime. Whereas if you do go back and attempt to crack down on those crimes, then you've got, the crime rates decreasing. So here we go. The ongoing conversation about how we address crime in the city. It looks like it's what, having more community support, having more different types of approaches to address young people, getting them jobs. And I just saw that on the live stream, people saying that it froze. And good thing we record this also locally, so if you missed out on a little bit of this, you can watch it when it gets posted as an isolated segment. But again, the broken windows theory doesn't really seem to be in the minds of those who were addressing the assembly yesterday in Chicago. Again, Johnson talking about working with community members and focusing on young people, and I think that a lot of people can agree having more resources go to help out with after school programs is good. But you've got Republicans who, at the State House even, have criticized the criminal justice policies that the elected Democrats herald, like the no cash bail, or like telling police that they can't handle a criminal suspect a certain way, or allowing for anonymous complaints to be filed against police. But you don't see the push from these elected officials to say to the Cook County State's Attorney, Kim Foxx, who's on her way out. She's not running for re-election, but there doesn't seem to be a coordinated effort to tell the state's attorneys to be more judicious in prosecuting crimes. Because again, that broken window theory, if you even let broken windows slide, then you're possibly going to see more nefarious behavior. If you let somebody get away with jumping a turnstile, then you could possibly see them later on down the road become even more of a brazen type of criminal. That's the theory, right? We don't really hear that being addressed here. Governor J.B. Pritzker also addressing the assembly yesterday, talking about working with community partners, talking about this new program, SC2, which is Safer Chicago. It's a group of philanthropists getting together with community groups. $66 million is how much they say they've raised in private funds for their $100 million goal. And those funds include dollars coming from major corporations, including the Pritzker Foundation, the Hyatt Hotel Foundation, and the Crown Family Philanthropies. So Pritzker, a billionaire, giving some of his own, foundation family money to this effort. But the overall spending, how this is going to be spent to address crime, really has not been revealed. So that's not been provided yet. So we'll see just how much that ultimately moves forward. But the governor yesterday at this assembly, he highlighted some things that he says are really going to make a difference when it comes to the safety on the ground of Chicago.
For the last 3 years, the General Assembly, the Senate President, the Speaker, you heard Justin Slaughter, you heard Robert Peters. I mean, together we have worked to do so many things that I think are making a difference today and will in the future. Let me start with the ban on the sale of assault weapons in Illinois. And we banned ghost guns, and we banned rapid-fire switches. And we ended the sale of high-capacity magazines. We instituted universal background checks on all gun purchasers, and we increased the duration of our red flag laws. But you all know that limiting the implements of violence isn't nearly enough. Until last September, in Chicago and across the state, violent offenders who had enough bail money were immediately set free, while poor people accused of nonviolent crimes would have to sit in jail for months because they didn't have a few hundred or a few $1,000s for bail. That's unfair, that's unjust, so we ended cash bail. And then we enacted the Reimagined Public Safety Act, surging unprecedented levels of investment in violence prevention and interruption, and utilized data to inform where help is most needed. And we increased mental health and substance use treatment to new highs and high levels all across the state of Illinois. Then I established the first ever state Office of Firearm Violence Prevention.
So the governor rattled off a list of things he says are accomplishments in the efforts to curb violent crime, topping that with the gun ban, then the gun violence prevention office he created, even the no cash bail that he also brought about to essentially bring no cash bail to the entire state of Illinois. And that's just, a handful of months old. How we're actually going to see that, continue to play out, whether or not there's going to be substantial efforts to find problems with that and address those problems with state legislation, we'll see. Lawmakers come back to Springfield Tuesday. But of course, it wasn't just Mayor Johnson. It wasn't just Governor Pritzker who spoke. You also had the two Democratic leaders of the General Assembly, Illinois House Speaker Emanuel Welch and Illinois Senate President Don Harmon addressed the Assembly yesterday.
It took 16 years and multiple failures to pass legislation requiring gun dealer registration, but we kept at it and we got it done. Building on that success, a recent law banning the manufacture and sale of assault weapons had a much easier path to the governor's desk. And when Speaker Welch and I were able to deliver that to Governor Pritzker, he signed it immediately. So thank you, Governor. Thank you, Speaker.
All right, let's try that. Check one, check two. A little bit of a hiccup here. All right, there we go. Okay.
So much work remains to be done, but we are heading in the right direction, and for that, I thank all of you. God bless you. Keep up the fight.
All right, a little glitch here this morning with all of my equipment. Gotta love it. I mean, just this whole span of stuff all working together. Anyways, all right, so Senate President Don Harmon laying out that, hey, they got gun dealer licensing. Yeah, the governor saying, hey, we've got the gun ban in place. Whole host of other things. Speaker Welch also addressing the Assembly yesterday, laying out what he sees as the accomplishments they've made.
We are making communities safer with hundreds of millions of dollars in funding going toward community-based violence prevention and community providers that organize after-school programs, youth summer jobs, and enriching opportunities. We are giving police and prosecutors the financial support they need to implement necessary and long overdue criminal justice reforms that were led by my friend, Southsider, chairman of the House Criminal Justice Committee, was the lead sponsor of the Illinois Safety Act and the Pretrial Fairness Act. Let's give it up again for Justin Slaughter. It wasn't easy to lead those efforts, but he knew it was the right thing to do, working in conjunction with all of you.
So, again, you heard everything from the Pretrial Fairness Act to the ongoing gun ban to a host of other spending that's going to be happening with community groups. All of this are efforts they say are going to bring about a decrease in violent crime. Have we seen that decrease with this spending and with the gun ban and whatnot? Yeah, there may have been fewer shootings in 2023, fewer homicides, but Chicago still leads the nation in big cities that have, hundreds of people killed each year. But did we hear anything about getting tough on criminals? The Pretrial Fairness Act does allow for violent criminal suspects to remain behind bars. They can't bail themselves out. But what about those repeat offenders of low-level crimes? Is that fostering the potential of more dangerous criminals? Again, a debate that we'll see continue to play out. And obviously, with the state legislature coming back, it's dominated by Democrats. They've got the supermajority of both chambers, and they've got each constitutional office from the governor to the comptroller. So a conversation that's going to continue, no doubt, especially after just in the past week, 3 individuals outside of schools in Chicago being shot and killed. A lot of heartbreak, no question. All right, it's Bishop on Air. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and stay tuned.